Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and domestic violence has infiltrated the household of Kamala Harris. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, please visit that address in the lower right-hand corner. It's youtube.com/@ExplainAmerica. When you get there, please hit subscribe, absolutely free. It really helps us out. You know, both spouses of both presidential candidates have made news in the past 2 days. Former First Lady Melania Trump, she announced that she's pro-choice. She's for a woman's right to choose. I vehemently disagree with her on that, but I'll tell you what, it's the top story on almost every news station right now. Another piece of news happened yesterday, and it's not a story anywhere really, unless it's a conservative site or channel, or right here on Explain America. Doug Emhoff, the husband of Democrat presidential candidate and Vice President Kamala Harris, has been accused of slapping his date, and I mean slapping her to the point where she had to get spun around in 2012 because he believed she was flirting with another man. He has not admitted to this. It has not been proven yet, but he hasn't denied it either. And my question then is, why is this not being reported? Melania Trump being pro-choice? Yeah, that's a story. Doug Emhoff slapping a woman so hard he spins her around? Yeah, that might be a story, news media. Might be a story. Here's what you do. I'm going to give you some advice on how to do your jobs. Listen up. This is important. So gather around. I'm going to give you some advice. I want you to listen to it. You take the Doug Emhoff story, right? I know you don't want to cover it, so here's what you do. Pretend he's the spouse of a Republican. All right? Now think about how you would report it if it was the spouse of a Republican, and then go report it that way. See, that's simple. That's how you do journalism. And now you've learned. And remember, knowing is half the battle. I want you guys to watch this video and then let me know what you think in the comments.
Now, do you remember this Jen Psaki clip that we showed you just a couple of days ago, and we mocked her for her ridiculous lapdog boot-licking performance when she had this guy, knowing he had cheated on his first wife before Kamala Harris with his child's nanny? Look, people have marital problems, and they make bad decisions when they're married to people that they don't love, all right? However, banging your child's nanny and impregnating her is in a special league of its own. Whatever. He got through the marriage. He managed to somehow remain friends with that first wife, and he married Kamala. I think most of us would have left it alone if he hadn't then paraded himself out there and let the media parade himself out there like he was the ideal husband on steroids. Like he is the new version of what it means to be a real man and eschews toxic masculinity and should really be the role model for my boys and yours. F that. I want my boys to be like my husband, who did not bang the nanny nor impregnate another woman while married to me or ever. It's insane that they tried to sell us this lie. That was the context in which we raised, before I get to today's news, the following Jen Psaki clip where she interviewed the current second gentleman, the man who could be our first gentleman in a few months, on, I think it was Sunday. Watch.
An interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny. I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And to me, it's the right thing to do. You know, support women. When we lift up women, we support women, whether it's pay equity, child care, family leave, and all these issues that, and this post-Dobbs hellscape, women should not be less than.
There's a pop culture phrase, wife guy, which you've kind of been known as. Are you familiar with this?
I've heard about it.
As called a wife guy, a proud wife guy? How do you feel about that?
Well, if I do something annoying to Kamala and she gets upset, I'll just show her that article. Right.
Oh, it's an interesting gesture there at the end with the hand in your face, because that's the news today, that this so-called always supporter of women actually smacked an ex-girlfriend in the face. Either a smack or a punch. It was unclear, according to the Daily Mail's exclusive reporting, that this super guy who's redefined toxic masculinity actually beat a woman that he was dating prior to Kamala. The Daily Mail reports that he did not respond to requests for comment on the article. What does that mean? There's not even going to be a denial? I guess they'll get around to it. It's just an allegation right now, but let me tell you, take some time today to read that Daily Mail report, because it's incredibly detailed. Incredibly. With several friends of the very successful attorney that he was dating, his alleged victim, going to the Daily Mail, providing records to the Daily Mail, speaking in great detail about the call that the abuse victim alleged made to them after he smacked her in front of other people, in front of French valets over there in Cannes, France. And no one's looked into this, I guess, other than the Daily Mail. Certainly Jen Psaki, I hope, wasn't aware of it when she let him get away with, "I've always been like this, a supporter of women," except when I'm slapping them in the face or banging the nanny on the ones I'm married to behind the back of. I'm sorry, this is just, if this were a Republican, it would be leading every news channel. Every news channel. One of our guests on this show last night, Mark Halperin, reported on our show last month that there was still more Oppo research to drop about Vice President Harris and her husband, how she, and by extension he, had never really been formally vetted. Look how she got elevated so quickly to the VP spot under Biden. He was losing. He needed to win South Carolina to secure the nomination. He made a deal with James Clyburn. He would select a black woman as his running mate. Bob's your uncle. She was in. It's just unbelievable. Now the vetting begins by the Daily Mail. God bless them, because they actually do look into these stories other people think are too beneath them to check, although they'd love to report, these other respectable news outlets, on Stormy Daniels and whether she said Trump wore a condom. That's not beneath them. But this is seedy.